Okay, so when you're adding the idea of crafting to a campaign, in your opinion, what is the most dangerous aspect of doing that as a DM?
Okay, let's roll for it.
Yeah. I got a nat 20.
18.
I'm so good at this, I'll never roll a 1 in my life.
I'm going second with an 18.
I got the 8. I'll go last.
All right, so I think it's pretty obvious that the moment that you had crafting, your control over the items that the party gets their hands on is out of your hands now. Like, it's up to a player to decide who gets what, and it can be very fickle. And it can also be really imbalanced. And man, I don't like crafting in 5th edition. I just think that it's
hard.
It's not even just hard. Like, the moment that you start to do it, it adds. It's a weird addition. It's a holdover from previous editions, and it's a weird addition to this game because it's. Well, the downtime activities are so weird.
They are, and really, especially crafting, if you actually want to even be able to do it in 5th ed. Like, you need 6 months of downtime if you want to craft something that's actually interesting rather than just a basic sword.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Who's got 6... I mean, unless you're doing a long-term campaign, you suddenly have a break of 6 months, like...
Yeah. It's like 300 days or something for plate mail.
It's absurd.
But then you end up with, like, gnome tinker nonsense as well. Like, well, I'm just going to create these incredible boots of striding... Overnight,
yeah.
And like,
just touch it and there it is.
No, but you're not a smith. You can't make gauntlets and shields. You're a tinkerer. Like, there's no real definition of where the difference lies.
I feel like it really needs either a rework or some serious homebrew if you're going to include it at all.
Yeah, I think a danger from a DM point perspective as well is that is suddenly where all of the attention goes as well in town time. Is now everybody's crafting their own stuff and off doing separate things, and it runs the risk of the party kind of separating off to do their own projects now instead of sort of staying together. Because people are naturally going to be selfish with this stuff. Like, no, I want my boots of whatever. I'm going to go and do this. Okay, so now you're not going to go and speak to the mayor with everybody else to have this conversation.
Just so you can go meet with the blacksmith.
You need the 8 hours to do this. Yeah.
I kind of was on the same thing with my biggest challenges to it, or biggest risks. And one of the other thing is party infighting is a big risk. If all of a sudden you've got one person, because you're probably not going to do this in session, right? Crafting with a player, this is going to be your midweek content.
I think a lot of people sit around the table and say, okay, downtime, everybody, heal up, long rest, you have 3 days off in town, what are you doing?
Yeah. But I mean, the nitty gritty, right? The player might tell you, I'm going to go visit the blacksmith and start forging something, or I'm going to go to the leatherworking and start making something, and you'll kind of cut it there, and the rest can be midweek.
Yeah. But
now what happens when the rest of the players see, this player suddenly came back with this magical item that I didn't even know was an option. How come I didn't get a magical item? And now you've got imbalance in the party. Yeah,
no, that's a major issue. Yeah. And that's honestly why I like the Artificer, because I feel like they fixed that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that you can share it around too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to It's a Mimic with your DMs, Adam,
Brad,
and Terry.
Welcome to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, the Roundtable Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get. I'm Adam, and with me are Brad and Terry, and today we're talking about...
Oh, we don't say hello anymore?
No, we don't say hello anymore.
You've been going so long, you don't even remember the format of this.
Do we need to do that again? I don't know.
Let's recraft this intro. Welcome to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, the Roundtable Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get. I'm Adam, and with me are Brad and Terry.
Say hello this time? I said don't say hello. I said we don't do that anymore.
And today we're talking about Artificers.
I'm leaving again.
Hi, Terry.
I'm not coming back.
Oh, man, guys, this is the episode that we've been trying to get done for like 3 or 4 weeks between snow outs and Terry being out of town and then strep throat rocking both Dan and I.
Yeah, you got to quit making out like that.
Oh, you're like the 9th person that's made that joke.
Yeah, I'll make it again.
But
I regret nothing.
We will just never stop. I want you to know that.
But it's been
as
weird
long as
recently.
As long as it's worth the strep, I'm not going to knock you for it.
Well, when your beards get tangled, it's difficult to pull away.
I don't know the feeling. And neither does Terry.
Me neither. I don't know. Although I was FaceTiming my dad the other day, and he did comment on how my beard is looking better.
I thought that was going a totally different direction.
No, he was like, your beard doesn't look as crap as it used to. I was like, well, thanks, Dad. It's good to see you as well.
That's the most backhanded compliment.
I know.
All right.
He has a very good beard, though.
So there are a couple of things that we should talk about really quickly before we even touch on Artificers. Two real basic ideas, and the first is the concept of crafting in Dungeons & Dragons. Crafting is difficult. We talked about it a little bit before the intro, and it takes a long time. It takes a lot of materials that you got to go source out. Like, this is not something that you do kind of on a whim. And when you do it, it eats up your spare time.
Mm-hmm. It is your sole focus outside of combat.
It really is. Your downtime, and your downtime, your 8-hour rest, does not include this, right? Because you can't be crafting. That's not part of the rest mechanic.
Yeah.
So this is
you can be
something
drawing up schematics, I would say, but not necessarily doing the crafting, right? Because you don't have to be sleeping, right? You need, 6 hours of sleep? But
I would say, I'm
sketching in your notebook, right?
I would consider it
reading.
Working, though, right?
Yeah.
You're not resting. You're working if you're crafting.
Well, we kind of can include that in a wizard's downtime too, right? Reading their spell tomes, practicing new spells.
Yeah, I mean, that's an argument for it as well. Yeah, I suppose.
But I feel like if you're an artificer, then I would say yes, absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
If you're not an artificer and it's just something that as part of your background, that you're a clan artisan, I don't know, depending on the level that you're working with, I think that you're going to sink a huge portion of your game time into the idea of crafting, and it's never going to pay off the way you want it to.
Yeah.
Because in D&D, you're going to find gold.
Yeah.
To buy this stuff, or you will just find it faster than you will be able to craft it, right? And as a DM, balancing that can be a real challenge for some people. The other thing that we should talk about for artificers before anything else is the idea of tool proficiencies.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't understand what a tool proficiency is and how it works. So the basic breakdown is like this. There are many different kinds of tools. Each kind of tool or kit or set of dice or whatever it is.
Yeah.
These items can have many different checks applied to them depending on how you're using them. Take, for example, a calligrapher set. You can do a performance check to see how beautiful you're writing, or you can do that's a performance, or you can do sleight of hand for forgery.
Yeah.
Right? But they're two different roles. You may not be proficient in one or either of them, but because you're proficient with the calligrapher set, now you have proficiency with this role. You can add your proficiency modifier.
Right.
So that's a really complicated way of going kind of around the whole idea of proficiency and choosing your skills when you want something that's really specific. Your thieves' tools, but you didn't take sleight of hand.
Yeah.
And you're not proficient with it, but
you're using the thieves' tools.
But you have proficiency with thieves' tools. You still have proficiency with that check.
Right.
Right. So it's important to know that as an artificer, because that shit's going to come up all the time.
The idea being that you could pick a lock, but that doesn't mean you could pickpocket somebody.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like these are some very basic ideas that people like the idea of really early in their D&D career, and then the more they dig into it, the more it's just not worth the time and effort to deal with tools and kits. I mean, how many people say, "Oh, I'm proficient with an herbalism kit"? And
How often does herbalism come up?
Yeah, almost never, right?
Unless you're looking for a MacGuffin.
Yeah, but every single one of the campaigns that I've ever DM'd has had someone say, "Oh, I want to have an herbalism kit," specifically that one, for some reason.
For poison weapons and different things.
And then it just never comes up again, right? And as a DM, I have to bend over backwards to either come up with something or find out why they wanted that in the first place and then give that to them without using the kit, right? So the Artificer fixes this by really focusing on it. I guess the last thing we should mention is, for those of you that don't know, there are really powerful magic items, and there are some mundane magic items and then some, minor magic items, but the more powerful they get, the more likely that you're going to need to attune to
Attunement
it. You're going to have to understand kind of the ins and outs of this item and become magically bonded with it.
Now, I haven't been playing that long, but that's a new addition for 5th, right?
Yes.
Attunement wasn't really a thing in previous editions, not to the degree it is in 5th. Right?
Yeah, that's right. So,
a way to prevent power creep was the idea?
Yes, and you can only ever be attuned to 3
items. Yeah, that's right.
Up until now.
Until now, yeah.
Right. So we heard, I think it was Dan was ranting and bitching about attunement a few episodes back. Brad, you and Dave were bitching in the mailbag
episode. We discussed this, absolutely.
About crafting and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that we finally came around to this episode. That's why I'm so glad that you're sitting in on this and that we kicked Dan out. So
yeah, and I finally got a chance to meet Terry.
Finally.
Yeah, I have never met until tonight. I'm going to download this mailbag episode right now that I didn't get to listen to.
You'll enjoy it.
Apparently, I need to listen to it.
You did. We spoke very highly of you the entire episode.
I am not a bad person.
You have a brand.
All right, so let's jump into Artificers specifically now. So Artificers come from the realm of Eberron. They are part of that campaign setting. They've been tied to it since 3.5. And they don't really pop up in others until we get this little block of information in the Eberron book, which says, "Hey, you know what? This does exist in other D&D settings."
I loved this piece of flavor text.
Yeah, but it's very rare in others. It's far more prominent in Eberron. So with the idea of Artificers, kind of breaks down to the idea that you are crafting items magically.
Yeah.
You are all about magic items. There's some magic in the past. You weren't necessarily a spellcaster yourself. Mm-hmm. That's changed now. You very much are a spellcaster and you can cast spells yourself.
Half caster though, no?
Yeah, but before you were not a caster.
Not at all.
Period. Okay. You only could use magic items.
Right.
So, now you can cast spells even without magic items. It behooves you to use them.
Of course. Yeah.
But they're always looking for, Artificers are out in the world looking for new lore, new items. It's not enough to sit back and say, hey, you know what? I'm really good at crafting magical boots. That's not who you are. No. That is not what this class is about. This class is about going to find out going to find the Philosopher's Stone. I want to turn lead into gold.
Yeah.
Right. They want to, it's not enough to say, hey, you know what? I make alchemist fire for everyone in the kingdom when they want to come get it. That's just a merchant. Mm-hmm. Right? That is just someone who's an alchemist that can just craft this one thing and sell it. That's not you. You are an adventurer. You're going out to find ancient, lost, or brand new and undiscovered magical items and materials and ways of thinking about making physical items that have a magical property to them.
Right, yeah, your whole thing about being an artificer, right, is you're trying to push the bounds of magical items, right? You're trying to expand. Everything that's within the region that's been discovered, it's been done.
Yeah.
Right? You're looking for the next big item. You want to make a name for yourself by crafting the next big magical item.
Yeah, it's think big as in don't think like tinkerer. You're more like magical engineer. Like You're thinking on a grand scheme. If you have the ability to do this, you're not thinking small town stay in the Shire with this stuff.
Oh, no absolutely not.
Yeah. I picture pioneers from like the West, right? When they were pushing west and they didn't have the comforts of home. They were solving new issues. They were looking for something new.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because what I think of is I don't know if you guys have seen Indiana Jones or Hellboy.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. Okay. Terry, are you aware of these films?
I think I've seen one of the Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Back when he was Missouri Jones.
I was a child. No, I saw the
Shia LaBeouf, the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
That was the best one they've ever made.
Anyway, do you guys know what Indiana Jones and Hellboy have in common?
They're both played by Harrison Ford.
No, hold on.
Both played by Ron Perlman.
I'll even include the first Captain America movie.
Red Skull?
They all have Nazis going after magical items. That's what I think of for Artificers without the evil attached to them.
Well, they could.
Well, I mean, you do you, but don't do that.
Don't do that. Do not do that.
You do you, but don't do that. Excellent motto for life.
I'm going to get that on a t-shirt.
Check the merch store. It'll be up.
So, no, that's what I think about is these people that are saying, you know what, I've heard that there is this ability to do this crazy thing over there. I want to capture that and replicate it.
Yeah.
Right. These are guys who are like, werewolves exist? How can I make an item that can make someone a werewolf?
Yeah.
With the flick of the wrist or press of a button or just drinking a potion, right? So,
right.
But let's get into the class features. What are we talking with? What are we talking about with Artificers?
All right. Let's get into it.
First and foremost, there's information in the Eberron book about multi-classing. We're not going to touch on that. We'll do an episode of multi-classing in the future. So let's just jump into the base.
Let's do it.
You get 1d8 hit die, which is pretty standard.
I agree so far.
Good for a wizard. Or for an intelligence caster.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of being an intelligence caster, but you're jumping ahead. Let me get to it. So, you get medium armor and shields. You're proficient with light and medium armor.
Makes sense to me.
The medium armor surprises me.
I see an artificer in leathers.
In leathers, which is light armor.
I guess, yeah. Well, no, I'm thinking studded leathers. Sorry. Studded leather is kind of how I picture that.
I'm wondering what the justification for the medium armor is, because as we go through this, there may be some arguments, which I will give later, on how this class is overpowered anyway. And so...
This is the beginning of power creep.
Yeah.
That very much is.
Yeah.
Let's start right off by saying, this shit's unhooked.
So I wonder what the justification for medium armor, especially medium armor and shields.
With a D8. And I think that what they're trying to do is keep you on par with a warlock.
Yeah.
Because we get the what's the word I'm looking for? Infusions, which is very similar to the
Invocations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I see an artificer as a mid to frontline fighter. Anyways, I don't see them as a backline caster. We'll get into this, I think, with some of the subclasses, but
yeah, some of them will be, some of them won't be. So, you're also proficient with simple weapons. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're not swinging around nunchucks. Like it's pretty straightforward.
Makes sense.
You are proficient with thieves' tools, tinker's tools, and one type of artisan tools of your choice. That's 3 tool sets.
Yeah.
Now, based on our discussion just a couple of minutes ago,
flavor-wise.
it makes sense flavor-wise. That's powerful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of very circumstantial things that you can do with these different tools. Thieves' tools, I mean, do you even need a rogue in the party anymore?
No.
Tinker tools, do you even need a gnome in the party anymore?
Yeah.
Well, do you ever?
Also,
do you ever?
also why Dan is not here.
The gnome rogue. All of Dan's characters are now irrelevant.
Can we just say that at this point, going forward, no more gnome talk?
No, it'll come up over and over again.
That's unfortunate.
It will. Your saving throws are Constitution and Intelligence. I think that's the only time you ever see that.
Yeah.
So this is unique, and I like that quite a bit. The Constitution makes a lot of sense. Okay, so because if you look at the subclasses and what they do, they need to be a little bit hardier.
They do.
Yeah, and that's the thought I had. I was like, Constitution, why Constitution? Until I got to the subclasses, and I was like, you gotta have a little bit about you if you're doing this.
I mean, if you're building an artificer, you're going intelligence, Constitution is your top 2.
Can't be on a low protein diet if you're doing this stuff.
For skills, you get 2 of Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Perception, or Sleight of Hand. Mm-hmm. Now, you also have those... 2 seemed really light, but you also have whatever your background is going to
play in.
Whatever your Volo's race may give you,
Yeah.
and then also these tools.
Yeah,
I think it's
due
enough.
to the tools. I think it's fair.
You get proficiency elsewhere.
Yeah, it looks really light on paper, but you're going to be absolutely fine with this. But is there any reason why you would not pick up Investigation as an Artificer? That's the go-to.
It's got to be.
Right?
And Arcana kind of just makes sense. I can understand. I can't imagine not taking Arcana from a flavor point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's...
Your little job is infusing things with arcane energy, right? That's your...
My favorite thing is that with Arcana or Investigation or even Sleight of Hand or History, you're giving up... All of these make perfect sense. You're giving up Perception. Which really... I think that tickles me. I like the idea of the artificer who's got his nose down in whatever he's crafting, a foot from his face, and not paying attention to the shit going on around him until suddenly, Eureka! And then he throws it and shit blows
up. The
up.
magic missiles are flying overhead as he's like tinkering with his little watch.
Hold on. Got it!
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of perfect.
That's it. That's exactly what I want in a campaign.
But the most used skill in D&D, you're probably not going to want to be proficient with.
But already we're seeing here is you have to, and I won't go too deep into it right now, but you already have to switch all of that old school way of thinking with these types of characters.
Yeah.
You can't go the traditional route. You have to think outside the box.
Wait for it, because the next optional rule is firearm proficiency.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a little paragraph there about, if you want, you can look up firearms in the DMG.
That little paragraph is called the Second Amendment, Adam. So
we're in Canada, we don't have that.
Leave it in the book.
So you get At first level...
Hold on, let's go back. I want to touch on the equipment for a second.
Oh, sure, yeah.
There's one thing I noticed that was missing. I don't know if any of you caught it. You get 2 simple weapons, sure. Light crossbow, whatever. Studded leather, armor, scale mail. Cool. Thieves' tools and a Dungeoneer's pack. What's missing from that?
Well, you're not getting your other tools, your Tinker's tools.
You're not getting Artificer's tools. Your Tinker's tools, right?
Yeah, which you're proficient with, but
you don't get. Now, I was doing some research on this, and Jeremy Crawford did mention in an interview, he said you can always get it from your background.
Yep.
Or you get starting gold, you can buy it. But still, why not just... you need it. We're going to get into the abilities here. You need Tinker's tools to do half the things that you do at first level.
I think it's almost something I feel like I would hand wave anyway. But,
I think so.
But yeah, it's just strange.
It just it seems like an oversight to me.
And honestly, for me, when I look at the equipment that they list, I always skip it and just tell whatever the players are, hey, here's your starting gold, and get yourself a weapon and armor that is reasonable. Don't go nuts.
Yeah.
A shield, if you would. Don't go nuts, right? We let common sense take over, and then I round them out with a mundane magical item or whatever, right? So
it just seemed like an oversight to me.
the cod piece of charisma just gets added.
You call that mundane?
Welcome back, Terry. All right, so let's get to it. The very first thing that you get at first level is magical tinkering. So you essentially get to add magic into mundane objects. There are 4 different things that you can do, but you essentially get a tiny, non-magical item, and you can imbue it with either the ability to cast a very little bit of light, or it can become R2-D2 at the beginning of A New Hope and just give a very short message.
Yeah.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. And just repeat it over and over again. Or it can make a smell or a sound that's nonverbal. Not the smell obviously is nonverbal. The sound is nonverbal.
It's not a word.
No.
Right.
Or you can have like a basic non-moving visual effect. So think of like a rune that appears on an object if you get close enough. You say the magical word or you press a button or whatever it is.
Or Obi-Wan's hologram.
Yeah. So, the cool thing is that whatever you do, it lasts indefinitely.
Yes.
So there's no time limit on any of these. So your Triton, who really should have dark vision, considering they're underwater, and they just don't automatically get that, that's when you give them... Yeah. That's when you give them the ability to have an object that casts a little bit of light.
For 5 feet. I mean,
well,
it's better than nothing.
It's 10 feet because it's dim light beyond, right?
Yeah.
It's better than nothing. You're going to need it. Yeah. But it gives you that idea of the exploration and leaving messages behind. And
that was totally how I pictured it. Almost like breadcrumbs, too. If you want to find your way back, you just drop a little pointer here.
Which is going to bring me to the first time that I'm going to point out that an artificer feels like he's always going to split the party.
Right. I think so.
In what sense are you thinking that?
First of all, he's never going to do town time with the rest of anybody else. He's always going to be off doing his own thing.
His own projects.
Yeah, he's also going to be just completely distracted by that magical shiny thing over there. While everybody else is fighting, he's going, no, but this thing glows.
Yeah.
So I'm
don't
going
touch
this
that
way.
thing because it's clearly a trap.
Right.
But I must know.
A trap. Yoink.
Exactly.
Right? And so,
I can learn something from this trap.
Yeah. Which brings me back to gnomes, right? The gnome artificer. And that is the classic trope here, is the gnome artificer. Who is just blowing himself up consistently and giggling about it, running away. Yeah. So the idea of being able to leave messages and cast a little bit of light and then wander around by yourself with just enough for you to see really does feel like the artificer splitting the party. It's kind of built in. And I kind of like that because he is a little overpowered, needs to be able to take a beating and get back to the party.
I'm on board.
You also are a spellcaster, which is a little bit strange for me for an artificer because before they were unlocking it from an intellectual standpoint, like the magic within items, and then using it. But that was back when we had a skill called Use Magic Device.
Yes.
Right.
We don't have that anymore.
No.
So, and also you need to have specific tools to cast as well. You do. You actually cast through your artificer tools, or your artificer spell effects get cast through your tools. So you must have a spellcasting focus, thieves tools or artisans tools in hand when you cast with any of the regular artificer
That is
spells.
super flavorful to me. I absolutely love the fact that your tinker tools or your tools are your spell focus.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's not an arcane focus or a holy symbol. Whereas specifically those ones, you need to have the materials.
Yes.
It doesn't say that here.
Well, you still need to have the tools to cast the spells, right? Because you have to use them to cast the spells.
But in theory, it says that you need the tools, but you do not need the materials.
Right.
Well, I think that rule is at a different point. That rule is that if the spell itself requires materials, that's where that rule is going to be listed.
Yes.
It's not going to list there, oh, by the way, you still need the materials.
On all of the other tools, or on the other arcane focus,
It says it there?
It says it there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says you need to have the depending on what the focus or holy symbol or whatever is, it says you need to have the components, but they don't get used up. If under certain circumstances or whatever, if you have a arcane focus or holy symbol or whatever it is that you're wielding. So you still need to have the basic thing. You just don't waste that diamond when you're casting your spell.
Right.
It doesn't say anything about having the diamond for an artificer. It doesn't say that you're using your tools. At no point does it say you use it like a holy symbol. It just says you cast through your tools.
I don't know what I would rule there.
I was going to say, but it doesn't say that you don't.
Well,
right, and that's part, like general spellcasting, in the spellcasting rules in the player's handbook, mentions that you need to have material components, which I would also assume with Artificer, you actually consume your...
It says directly, to observers, you don't appear to be casting spells in a conventional way. You look as if you're producing wonders using mundane items or outlandish inventions.
So that suggests that you don't need it, because conventional way would be producing the diamond, sprinkling the dust, the back guano into the hands, all that stuff.
Yeah. So it really does feel like there's... I feel like it's going to be around tables where they're going to say, hey, I don't need spell components. And I may grant that.
Yeah.
Rules as written.
Only because of that line where it says you do not appear to be casting spells in a conventional way. The conventional way is hand movements and material components.
Yeah.
So would you say then you also don't need the verbal or somatic?
It doesn't say anything about it.
Right, so it just says you need the tools to use?
Yeah.
So you would rule as long as they have their tools.
Yeah, now...
But what happens when they lose their tools?
Yeah, I'm going to say that's super crippling.
Yeah.
Right, because you also have to have hands free.
You do, yes.
Right, to cast with the tools. And, I mean, you're proficient with shields and weapons. You probably are not doing that in battle. So...
Yeah, you've got to drop something. And I may even say, right at the start, session 0... Is your character right-handed or left-handed?
Yeah.
Are you dropping your shield or your sword here?
Yeah, I love the idea of you dropping your sword to pull out your quill to cast this spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you don't get an attack of opportunity as a kobold runs by you.
Yeah.
Now, there's an interesting bit in the book here. It talks about the magic of artifice, right? It says, as an artificer, use the tools when you cast your spells. When describing your spell casting, think about how you're using a tool to perform the spell effect. If you cast Cure Wounds using Alchemist Supplies, you could quickly be producing a salve. If you cast it using Tinker's tools, you might have a miniature mechanical spider that binds wounds. So again, here, it doesn't clarify. This is just flavor text anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't clarify anything about...
Well, that's it. And even that, it's giving examples of casting spells in a non-conventional way.
Mm-hmm.
So the materials and whatever's being used there is not what you traditionally would use.
It actually comes down a little further. It says, as an artificer, you don't study a spellbook or pray to prepare your spells. Instead, you work with your tools to create specialized items you'll use to produce your effects. So yeah, I think I'm with you on this one.
Yeah,
so
I agree too.
So yeah, it's not so much that I like this spider knitting together.
That's fantastic.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, is you are producing little clockwork items to replicate spell effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go through what you can actually do as a spellcaster. You can get a whopping, at 20th level, 2 5th level spells. So you're a half cast.
Yeah.
You are.
Right. You're Paladin and Ranger and Warlock, right? This is the same conversation. Arcane Trickster and Eldritch Knight. This is the same conversation we're having.
I mean, we'll get into it later. There's things that make up for that.
Oh, more than enough. Yeah.
You also imagine casting 9th level spells on top of everything we're going to get to?
Yeah. It makes perfect sense here. You also get a maximum of 4 cantrips. I don't think you need anything else. especially with what we're going to dive into here a little bit further.
Yeah.
It's the regular numbers for your spell save DC, except you're using your intelligence modifier. So you're like a wizard. This is going to be your other intelligent class.
Up until now, you had one option for intelligence casters.
Yeah, for intelligence casters, yes. I can make a strong argument for rogues being intelligence-based.
Oh, sure, intelligence-based. Yes.
But this is, in my opinion, like the third class.
Yeah.
That's, and we were lacking in intelligence.
Honestly,
characters.
like I'm thinking of it as a relief. It's good to have another option, another powerful option.
Yeah. You also get ritual casting, so you can cast some rituals, which is fantastic. It's got a wonderful list of spells that the Artificer can cast. Now, I don't see anything here about new spells, so I don't believe that you get any Artificer-only spells.
Right. Nothing jumped out when I went through the list. I think they've all...
It's really helpful. There's an asterisk next to the ones that are in Xanathar's. It says in brackets whether or not it's a ritual. So it's really useful, but you can see it. It's less than a half a page in the book when you take a glance at it. But if you guys notice, beyond cantrips, there is very freaking little that is an offensive attack spell.
Yeah.
It's utility. You're a utility caster.
Which is why I think you have a weapon and a D8 hit die. You are up there mixing it up. Or you're saying, hold on. Fly.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, but again, this is because you have to think of this class differently. You have to think outside of the box. This maybe isn't a class for a new player at all.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Because you've got to know a little bit about the game. You've got to know what your options are. You have to think very exploratively with this class.
Yeah, I feel like this, again, sits with the rest of the half-casters because they sit in a unique, kind of a unique realm of needing to know a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And having a unique perspective on the world. If you're going to play a paladin with the different tenets that you get, that's radically different than every other class out there, right? The idea of the ranger with all the exploratory things and the party buffs that they give, like Pass Without Trace and whatnot. There's a different mentality that comes with there, whereas a fighter and a barbarian can very much just be smashy. Yeah. And a wizard and a sorcerer are really close. And a cleric and a druid are serving kind of the same ballpark of a party role.
Yeah.
Right? But no, I really like the Artificer for standing off to the side and doing its own weird thing.
It really is its own unique.
And I love it because, again, it feels like it's a ball of a party buff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yet also wants to split the party with things like it gets Mage Hand, which is fantastic, but it gets Dispel Magic and Fly and Haste and Water Walk. Like, I just feel like it's going off in that direction to do shit. And I'll be back in a minute.
I see Artificer playing a lot, though, like a bard.
Depends on the bard.
But it's kind of that support role, right? But
a bard is a face of a party, and I don't think an Artificer is.
Oh, no, that is true.
So
I love the idea.
There's still room for both, for sure.
The haste spell with like the clock, the little pocket watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot of fun, like choosing your spells and then figuring out what the items are that you use to cast them.
Yeah, I play like honestly like Q from James Bond. Don't touch that.
I had that in my notes actually. I'm glad you touched on that because I 100% thought Q for this. 100%.
Okay, so at second level, you can infuse items. So you get the ability to imbue mundane items with certain magical infusions. And so there's a whole lot here about how to infuse an item and different infusions that you know. And we will cover those another time because there are so many infusions. They're like the wizard or the warlocks and invocations, right? So and the sorcerer's meta magic. Right, there's just so many different options. Another good example is the Beastmasters. What are they called? All the different maneuvers or whatever.
It's a ranger. I don't pay enough attention.
No, that's a fighter. But
the Beastmaster. Sorry, I was thinking.
So anyway, but there are a bunch, and ideally, what you're doing here is you are creating different items. They give you a list of options, and you can choose which ones that you want to make. You can have a maximum number of it. Yeah. Anytime you make a new item, you have to get rid of the oldest one in existence. So if you made 4, the first one chronologically that you made disappears when you make your 5th.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So,
but you can if you don't want that one to disappear, you could just dismiss one of your other ones and summon a new one.
Sure. So, but
if you forget,
there is a maximum, and that maximum increases significantly. You start off being able to do it with 4, and by the end, you end up being able to go with 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so 12 magic items, and from that crazy ass list that they give you too.
Now, you can't have 2 with the same infusion.
That's right.
worth noting. And you cannot put the same infusion on, more than one infusion on an item.
Okay.
So you would actually have to have 12 items and each one with a different infusion.
You know how the druid has that list that's written down of all of the like wild shape that I can do?
Yeah.
I can turn into this, or I can turn into this, or I can turn into this.
Sure.
I feel like the artificer has that for the items that they've crafted, and who has them, where are they, what do they look like, how are they, and like they're consistently.
That's the other cool thing is you can hand them out to the party.
Yeah.
Like there's one that lets you reload a weapon without taking any other extra action. It just, and you don't need ammo. As soon as you fire it, it automatically reloads a crossbow. You could give that to your ranger or your rogue.
Yeah, or you could give it to your squishy wizard.
Or your squishy wizard, yeah. And they don't have to worry about reloading or anything like that. It's just pull the trigger, shoot, and it's ready to go again.
Love it.
So the subclasses are called specialists.
Yes.
For the artificer, which is fun. You get that at level 3 like you do with everybody else. You also at level 3 get the right tool for the job, where you learn how to produce exactly the tool that you need. And with Tinker's Tools in Hands, you can magically create one set of artisan's tools in an occupied space within 5 feet of you. So remember before when we said you get these tools, Tinker's Tools, and one other thing?
Yeah.
And then it said, hey, you get these tools.
Yeah.
You didn't get Tinker's Tools. You also didn't get the other tool proficiency as well.
Right.
I feel like this makes up for that. You don't need
Yeah.
to carry that with
Now,
you.
players need to remember it does take an hour. You can't just go, boom, I need this tool right now, let's do it. You need to have an hour to summon that set of tools.
But it will work with a short rest,
Yes, it will.
which is unique because this is one of the handful of things that you are allowed to do while you are doing a short rest instead of just sitting there and resting.
Yeah.
So, I think that makes it overpowered. So, you get your regular ability score improvements.
How often is that going to come up, though, that you need a set of tools that you don't have?
Every time there is a puzzle or a riddle in front of you.
Right. But then you're taking a short rest. You need to be able to...
Yeah, I think that a lot of adventuring parties take short rests.
Yeah,
they
do.
And you will use the opportunity to say...
As long as the DM allows it.
Well,
the short rest, right?
As long as the DM allows short rest, yeah. But you will take that opportunity to say, "Hey, look, I'm going to make a new thing." So,
Yeah.
So you get your ability score improvements at 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th, which is standard. You get at 6th level, starting at 6th, you get a proficiency bonus that is doubled.
This is
for any ability check that you make that uses your proficiency with a tool.
Perfect.
So now you're even better at doing something. You're probably not outclassing the rogue because they get a bunch of crazy double proficiency shit as well.
Expertise stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but you're definitely outclassing your ranger and your fighter and the others, right?
With anything requiring a tool, which is actually a lot, right? You can justify a tool for a lot of things.
Yes, I can. But you... I
justify being a tool every day.
It's my God-given right, God damn it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was Canada.
Starting at 7th level, you gain the ability to come up with solutions under pressure. When you or another creature that you can see within 30 feet, this is what makes us overpowered.
Oh, yeah.
When you make an ability check or a saving throw, you can use your reaction to add your intelligence modifier to that roll.
Yeah.
That's wild.
This is a paladin.
Is this the one which is, sorry, you or any creature within 30 feet of you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's massively powerful.
Yeah. And you get to do this a number of times equal to your intelligence
Which
modifier.
at this level should be at least 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 7th level, it's 4 or higher, definitely.
Per rest.
So everybody's saving.
So 4 times
every
a day.
round.
Yeah.
Yeah, so per long rest. But the crazy thing about this is that the paladin's auras, are those 30 feet?
I believe so. This is a Megan question.
No, there are some that are like within 10 feet
shorter.
and 15 feet. This is more powerful than some of the paladin auras.
Right. I see.
You do have different auras at different levels, so some of them are what's the word I'm looking for? They have better range.
Right.
So, but this is very much, so far we're on par with the rogue. We're on par with the spellcasting ability. I think we're better than a warlock for spellcasting.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of the party buff that a bard has.
Yeah.
And now we have the Paladin save mechanic as well.
So you're the jack of all trades and master of many.
Yes, but again, you're not good at every dexterity check or every athletics check, just the ones that your tools would help with, right?
Yeah.
So,
Or the one you're really worried about making when you give yourself advantage.
Yeah.
This is a hugely valuable character to keep alive.
Yes.
You know, when it's like someone's got to die, probably the fighter, definitely not the
Yeah, you don't want your
Artificer.
Artificer going down.
I feel like when you have a campaign or a mission, the whole thing is keep the Artificer alive. We need to get them to the final chamber to unlock the thing, right? I feel like a lot of Artificers are hiring parties as well.
Yeah.
At 10th level, you become a magic item adept. This starts to get stupid.
Wild.
So you achieve a profound understanding of how to use and make magic items, which means you can attune to up to 4 magic items at
Okay,
once.
this is level 10.
So level 10, you're already getting
Which, I mean, you're halfway through the game, and you're getting your 4th. This one's not broken. Don't worry, we'll get there. If you craft a magic item with the rarity of common or uncommon, it takes you a quarter of the normal time, and it costs you half as much as the usual gold.
Which is what we talked about in the cold open, right? It takes so long to do. Now it's suddenly a little more reasonable.
Yeah, and I feel like this is on par with the wizard's ability to write things down in their spell book quickly,
cheaper.
right? So quick and cheap depending on which school they're in.
Yeah.
Right.
So at 11th level, this one's my favorite. This is my favorite thing. At 11th level is your spell storing item. You learn how to store a spell in an object. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch one simple or martial weapon or one item that you can use as a spellcasting focus, and you store a spell in it. You can choose a 1st or 2nd level spell from your Artificer spell list, as long as it only requires an action to cast. You don't even need to have it prepared. Which means it can be anything. You can have your prepared spell list and still be like, hey, you know what? We're going to drop this spell over here.
So the wording is a little bit interesting on this because it says one martial weapon or one item that you can use as a spellcasting focus.
Yes.
But now we're going to get in part 2 of this.
Yeah. When holding the object, a creature can take an action to produce the spell's effect from it, using your spellcasting ability modifier. If the spell requires concentration, it must concentrate. The spell stays in the object until it's been used a number of times, equal to twice your intelligence modifier.
Yeah.
So like 8 times minimum.
So now your fighter is casting Bane 8 times for you, so you don't have to worry about that?
Yep.
Or, as a DM, I like this idea. Have something that's stealing items off of your Artificer.
Yeah.
And now they're using your spells against you.
Yep.
Yeah.
But again, the next time that you go to use this feature to storm on a spell, the
It's
old
gone.
one dissipates, right? So
Right.
you can do this.
But at least in that combat, it can be...
But that's a whole day's worth of good spell that you just honestly, you're just passing off onto your martial classes at this point. Just, hey,
Put a healing spell on something so your frontline fighter can keep himself up.
exactly. Okay, monk, there you go. You got that 8 times. See you in a bit. I'll be doing fireball over
Yeah,
here.
haste on your monk.
Yeah.
Here's a haste item for you.
Yeah, here's my quill. Hold this, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Right? And that's insane. So anyway,
It's very cool, but very powerful.
at 14th level, this is where it starts to get dumb. You get your 5th magic item that you can attune to.
Beauty. Love it.
And you ignore all class, race, spell, and level requirements on attuning to or using a magic item.
Love it.
I just imagine how the Iron Man suits kept getting better and better at this point.
I'm thinking about Captain America picking up Thor's hammer, right? And just, oh, wait a minute, he can do that, right? I just love the idea of you picking up the elven boots, putting them on, and just like running away. Like, wait, what the, what the fuck? So
You're not allowed to do that.
at 18th level, you can attune up to 6 magic items. 6.
Beauty.
Double.
Love it.
Plus all of your crazy
Everything you've had up until now.
infusions as well. This is insane.
Yeah.
This it's way too much.
But that's what I love. The infusions are not included in this magic items. They require no attunement for the infusion. Well, some of them do. Some of them do. But
And then at 20th level, you gain a +1 bonus to all saving throws per magic item that you are currently attuned to.
so +6.
So +6, yeah.
Are you alright there, Terry?
So now you're just like, I don't know.
All saving throws.
You're basically just all of the Avengers in one, and, and you can't be hit by anything. So it's fine.
I'm never
wait.
playing anything else ever again.
Also, if you're reduced to 0 hit points and not killed outright, You can use your reaction to end one of your Artificer infusions, causing you to drop to 1 hit point instead of 0.
Which at this point you have 12. You can do this 12 times.
Yeah. So as long as you're not killed outright.
So now you're also
I mean, you're going to be down to 1 hit
mega.
point, so if you get hit again, there's a good chance. I mean, you got a D8 hit pool. You're not that
Well, that's the
small,
last
but-
event, so now you're Hulk as well.
You're
Now
also
you just
level
won't
20,
die.
right?
Yeah.
Like you've
I
you've
guess.
got some.
And you
hit
probably got a
points.
magic item that also keeps you from dying.
You're the last person standing in the final battle now as well,
Yeah.
which is with 1 hit point for 12 rounds. You just won't fucking
I
die.
could do this all day.
Exactly. Just stay down, man.
All right, so really quickly, the infusions. I'm gonna just kind of list them out real quick. Do you guys want to jump on to one that sounds interesting and we can cover it? We'll roll dice.
Go
with
through
this.
the whole list.
Sure,
I'll
go through the whole-
remember,
go
I'll remember the
list
ones that
and
sound good.
All right, so we have these are the things that you can, in theory, make boots of the winding path, enhanced arcane focus, enhanced defense, enhanced weapon, a homunculus servant, radiant weapon, repeating shot, replicate magic item, repulsion shield, resistant armor, returning weapon. That's it.
Yeah, that's all.
So there's a lot of fun stuff in there.
There's so many.
What do you guys have? One that's just
Sure.
What did you
Hold
got,
on.
Brad?
We'll roll.
Let's roll.
Let's roll for it.
I got a 6.
13.
What's my 18?
You're 16.
Oh, 16.
Do you want to go first or do you want to defer?
I was curious about repulsion shield.
Repulsion shield.
All right, so you have to be a 6th level artificer, and this does require attunement, and it has to be on a shield. So, like, you physically need to be carrying a shield for this. You gain a +1 bonus to your AC while wielding the shield. So
now it's +3 shield.
I guess, and it has 4 charges. While holding it, the wielder can use a reaction immediately after being hit by a melee attack to expend one of the shield's charges and push the attacker up to 15 feet away. The shield regains 1d4 expended charges daily at dawn.
So now I'm an artificer with medium armor and a +3 shield. Where's my AC at right now? 18 or 19?
Yeah, you're up there.
Yeah.
Well, and you can combine that with magical armor, which
Yeah.
is also another +1. Like, you can just keep stacking this.
So yeah.
Or, alternatively, you can give this to somebody else in the party. These items don't have to stay with you.
No, that's true. They don't have to stay with you, but they could.
But they could.
You can be tank man. Essentially.
We'll get into some tank
Fancy
talk.
tank,
Don't
man.
you worry. Yeah. What was I? I was 13.
Yeah,
so
you're
I'm
next. Yep.
I touched on it earlier, but the repeating shot is one that jumped out to me. Now, unfortunately, you can't put this on more than one weapon. But I picture if you got your shield and a hand crossbow in one hand, you don't need to reload a hand crossbow anymore, right? You don't need that free hand to do that. So, just to go over it, magic weapon grants +1 to attack and damage with it when used to make a ranged attack, and ignores the loading property if it has it. If you load no ammunition to the weapon, it produces its own, automatically creating 1 piece of magic ammunition when you make a ranged attack with it. The ammunition created by the weapon vanishes the instant after it hits or misses a target. So it's just this magical repeating, reloading.
It's just a magical.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just a magical automatic reload.
Yeah, I like it because it'd be useful.
Yeah,
I
right.
like
Hand
it
crossbow you can't use with the shield.
Right.
Now you can.
Now you can. Yeah, I like it for that. 2 shots off.
So the one that I picked was the homunculus servant.
We had
I
to
thought
touch
you
on
might.
it. You have to touch on it.
This is my favorite because
You can't ignore it.
So you craft essentially a small construct or a tiny construct. It's very, very tiny. And it follows you around and does pretty much whatever you want. You determine what it looks like. Some it says choose birds. Others choose little winged vials or little animated cauldrons to walk around. So I love the idea of you just having little objects with legs that follow you around. It's friendly to you and your companions. It obeys your commands. And you get a full stat block. And this thing is kind of beefier than I thought it was going to be.
It's better than...
Its AC is level 13. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, right. So its AC is 13. Its hit points equal the Constitution modifier, which is 1, plus your Intelligence modifier, so 4 or 5, plus your level in Artificer. And you have to be minimum 6 level. So this thing's got at least 11 hit points.
Yep. Yeah.
It's going to be able to take a decent hit. And it shares your initiative in combat. It does have an attack It also, as a reaction, delivers a spell that you cast that has a range of touch. So you can cast a spell, and then as a reaction, it'll hit on its at the end of someone else's turn.
Right.
And it can move and use its reaction on its own, but the only action it takes on its turn is a dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take the action in its stat block or dash, disengage, help, hide, search, the basics.
Well, that's good because it's 13 AC, but you're trying to hit it with disadvantage if it's taking dodge action.
Yep. And if you cast Mending on it, then it regains 2d6 hit points.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
for a cantrip, you can basically bring it back up to full health.
Yeah, and so you would probably pick up Mending if you know you're going to go this direction. The other one that's worth mentioning here is the Replicate Magic Item. Yeah. There are 5 tables here that you can essentially roll on.
That's an episode.
Yeah, depending on which level you are at as an artificer, you can choose which of these magical items from the freaking DMG that you just craft.
Just straight up, here it is.
And how long does it take to craft them?
You can learn. So this one you can learn multiple times, but each time you do it, you have to choose a magic item that you can make. So you have to choose a different one. The table's title tells you which level.
Yeah, it's the same rules as your standard infusions, right? So it's at the start of the day, basically, as part of your long rest.
Yeah,
you pick them.
Very powerful.
Yeah, you can get yourself a ring of free action or a ring of protection at 14th level.
Oh,
just,
wow. Okay.
I want one. Here it is. I have it. Dimensional shackles. You can just say, hey, today, I might need these.
Yeah, the Belt of Hill Giant Strength.
Yeah.
You just decide to have one.
Give that to your barbarian. Here you go.
Yeah.
You have to be a very confident DM if you're going to allow this class to play within your game.
Oh.
Because you have to be able to adjust very quickly.
This is the kind of class that I'm comfortable having at my table. However, I feel bad for the DM that is DMing me as an artificer.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to sit back in my free time and just daydream ways to stack this shit up for other people.
I also like to think of next level ways to fuck with people. And so I would love this class, and I think I will play it soon.
Like I said, I don't ever want to play another class.
Yeah, this is... Well, it's so powerful.
It is.
Okay, let's jump to a commercial really quick before we jump into the subclasses.
Sure.
Hey guys, Dan here with It's a Mimic. I'm here with Adam, and we have a couple exciting announcements to throw at you guys.
Yeah, we have a couple new social media sites that we're really happy and excited about being a part of, including TikTok, and we have our own subreddit now, which is r/It's a Mimic.
Yep, we're also starting a second channel that is going to be live play focused. It's going to be our actual play stuff, so it's going to be where you can find all of our old Call of Cthulhu, our Wizard's Tower, our Christmas special, as well as future projects coming down the pipe, like a new Call of Cthulhu.
Yes, we've got a couple of fun things coming with Call of Cthulhu this year, and we're already gearing up for it. So anyways, we've got these 2 channels, we've got this new social media, but what we would really like is to ask you guys for a little bit of help. We don't have a Kickstarter, we don't have a Patreon, we don't have a GoFundMe. We have a dinky little donations button down in the bottom of our website, but we're not even asking you for money right now. We're asking for your voices.
Yeah, so word of mouth is super important to get the word out on the new channel, the new social media outlets that we're engaging in now.
So if you could do more than just lend us your ears and lend us your voices as well, whether it's on Reddit or through our regular Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, cross posts, links, whatever you can do to give us a hand here would help a lot. We are eternally grateful, and that's why we want to give you guys more of a voice as well, which we talk about in the Shoutout and the Campaign Builder, and we'll be moving forward with more interesting ways of audience interaction as well.
So, again, thank you guys so much for listening, and I don't know about you, Adam, I'm really excited for year 2 as we're moving on here.
Yeah, I really think... Hey, look,
God damn it, Adam.
All right, guys, so there are 3 different subclasses here. We each chose one as per our usual routine. There's an Alchemist, an Artillerist, and a Battlesmith. Let's roll to see who's going to go first. I got
Ooh,
it.
19 for me.
Lower roll. 8 for me.
Oh, you guys can finally get a break from my voice. I'm going last.
Yeah, with the class episodes, that's just the way.
Yeah,
I'm doing a lot
it's
of
the nature
talking.
of the beast.
And the other two are just going, yes.
yes,
No, I don't
agreed.
like that.
All right.
All right, well, I'm going first, and I was fortunate enough to draw the Battlesmith. Definitely number one of my choices for the 3. So the Battlesmith is, I think we can say Battlesmith is going to be your tank if you're going to have one, an Artificer subclass.
Yeah, of these 3 options, this one is the one that's going to soak up damage.
Yeah, this guy's got a lot going on for him.
God damn it, Dan.
So we'll just quickly go, as we always do, through the benefits that you get from your subclass. So the first one that you get is Tool Proficiency. So you've already got enough of these. At 3rd level, if you pick the Battlesmith, you get 1 more Tool Proficiency. So we talked about how this was overpowered. Well, now you're up to 1 more by picking the Battlesmith. So you gain a proficiency with Smith's tools. If you already have this proficiency, guess what? You gain proficiency with 1 other type of artisan's tools of your choice. Just whatever you want.
Love it.
Love it. You get spells. So each of these subclasses will get their own spells. So we'll touch on those. But starting at 3rd level, you get them. So for the Battlesmith, you get, and this is why I'm saying it's tank. At level 3, you just automatically get Heroism and Shield.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Right there.
Very valuable.
Very valuable. 5th level, you're going to get Branding Smite and Warding Bond. There, again, Warding Bond, there's your defense. So low offense with Branding Smite.
Yep.
So now you can be a smiting. Right?
Yeah, Paladin.
Yeah.
Pack your stuff up, close your dice box.
Yeah, why bother make a Paladin? You
Yeah.
can just make this. 9th level, you get Aura of Vitality and Conjure Barrage.
Sorry, I just love the idea of the Artificer watching the Paladin. Every time he smites, he goes, okay, all right, hold on, do it again. Interesting. Hold on, I think I can do that. One more time. Cool, I can do that
now. Yeah.
Don't you think it's cool that we both have 30-foot auras? Oh, you don't?
Oh, you don't? Oh, that's
This
awkward.
is awkward. I'm actually a better paladin than you now.
Looks like you need this codpiece of charisma.
Oh. I mean, you are going to be dumping charisma on this character, right? Like,
For an Artificer, I'm dump. Ah, God, I don't know what I dump. I feel like I need all of it. Except maybe not Wisdom. I'm loath to give up Perception, but I would probably dump Wisdom.
but we discussed earlier, right? Perception probably is one that you're not paying attention to the world around you.
Yeah, but mechanically speaking,
Yes.
Perception is the single best or most important skill.
Dan's not here. We don't have to min-max.
Right.
I think I just dump strength and you just use finesse weapons or something.
I'm going to get onto this, too, because this gets really interesting. But let's finish the spells. So 9th level, you get Aura of Vitality, Conjure Barrage.
Yeah.
Again, just being tanky.
So, hold on. Conjure Barrage is Ranger only. Aura of Vitality is Paladin only. So,
Right.
again, we're half-caster all over the place.
Yeah.
We're dipping into everybody's. We're taking from everything. 13th level, you get Aura of Purity and Fire Shield. Again, more defense, more cleansing. And then 17th, this I love. Banishing Smite and Mass Cure Wounds.
Good lord.
Yeah, it's you're right.
I mean,
it's jack of all trades, master of everything.
it's 17th level, so I mean, by the time
Yeah,
you're getting this,
okay,
but still, you're just getting Mass Cure Wounds and Banishing Smite.
yeah.
Also at 3rd level, you get Battle Ready. So this is wild. You gain proficiency with martial weapons. You mentioned earlier how you only get simple weapons. Not anymore.
Yeah.
You want any weapon? It's yours. Any martial weapon?
Okay, I gotta ask, what is the flavor behind this subclass? Why a Battlesmith? Like, do you know what I mean by that?
I do. I have a character build in mind. Like, I
Right,
absolutely
but
adore it,
what does it actually say in the?
Because you think you would lean towards.
Yeah. So armies require protection. As someone who has put things together if defenses fail. A combination of protector and medic, a battlesmith is an expert at defending others and repairing both material and personnel.
So you're the dwarf battlesmith, I guess?
Yeah, so battle and medic. Up until you said the word medic, I was thinking of Gendry from Game of Thrones.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Right? And so this kind of makes a little bit more sense to me now.
Yeah.
But also the ability to, like, heal on top of that.
yeah.
Sure. Okay, all right, I'm getting it better now.
I'm putting this guy kind of up there with when I would normally want to take, like, a war cleric.
Yeah.
I'd rather have this
That's
than a
what
war cleric.
I really enjoyed playing my war cleric, and I was thinking, this is just
This
a
is
better version of the war cleric. Yeah.
Yeah, so battle ready, you get proficiency with all martial weapons, and this is my favorite. Whenever you attack with a magic weapon, which at this point you're gonna be imbuing your weapon with some sort of magic, you, instead of using strength or dex, use your intelligence modifier.
Okay.
So your highest stat now, so you can dump strength. You can dump. I mean, you don't really want to dump dex, but strength. Why not dump it? Because you're not going to be using it for even strength-based weapons.
Yeah, sure.
You're going to put some sort of magical aura on them. Boom! Now it's an intelligence weapon.
Man, I like this subclass actually,
This is
but I feel like I've already played it.
I adore this. Next one you get is Steel Defender. Again at 3rd level. This is all at 3rd level. The first thing you do when you take it. Your Tinkering is born a faithful companion, a Steel Defender. So we talked about the
You just get a metal dog.
You get... Everyone says dog. It doesn't say dog.
And metal dog?
You can... Yeah. You can determine the creature's appearance and whether it has 2 legs or 4. But
And I shall name it Slayer.
So in all of the content, it's a dog.
metal dog!
That's phenomenal.
Very cool. I mean, I
Metal
want to do
dog
something a little bit different,
Or a
but...
Steel Panther.
Oh! Smells like pure gasoline.
I've just made a deaf leopard. No.
Yeah, but this thing's basically your homunculus, but tanky. So for its reaction, it's got its own stats again. AC of 15 instead of 13 like your homunculus.
What's the CR on this thing? Does it have one?
I don't think it does. I was looking for it and I didn't see one.
it doesn't have one.
Because no one else can have it, right? So there isn't really a...
Yeah, but if you were to kill someone else's.
Yeah, but look at the stat line of it. +2 strength, +1 dex, +2 con, -4 int, whatever. +0 wisdom, -2 charisma.
Well, that's fine. You don't need your dog to be charismatic or...
So you're looking at +4 to your skills. So what's that putting you at? CR1?
Well, no, only to athletics and perception.
Yeah.
40 feet of movement, good.
Yeah. And all those increase it
And dark vision.
Yeah. And they all increase by 1 whenever your proficiency bonus increases. So anytime when you got to step up, all the stats on this thing increase to keep up with you.
I could make a chimpanzee.
You sure could.
So I could make an ape.
I know you're going somewhere with this. Where are you going?
They can hold weapons.
Oh.
And you
If
can
you
send
have-
them into the mine shaft alone.
Well, if you give them opposable thumbs and you have like an ape or chimpanzee or baboon, there's no reason that you can't put weapons and armor that you have crafted on them.
I'm sorry, I can make Rocket Raccoon here.
Yes.
You can make Rocket Raccoon.
Metal
Absolutely.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah. I mean, so we talked about with the homunculus how basically it always takes a dodge action unless you use your bonus action. Same thing here. So if you choose to have your bonus action to allow them to attack instead, because they act on your initiative after you do, they can take Force Empowered Rend, which is a +4 to hit, and deals 1d8 +2 force damage. Force damage.
Yeah.
That's nothing
If it's
to...
got force damage, that's awesome.
Yeah. And as a reaction...
Sorry, that's what the
Yeah.
homunculus has as well. It was force damage attack.
It was force damage,
Yeah.
but it did not do this much.
No, it
it
didn't.
was not this powerful. And we talked about healing the homunculus, right, with mending. Same thing here. He gets 2d8 +2.
Instead of 2d6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic.
yeah, I mean everything about it is just great.
All right.
It's basically
And
homunculus
what
on
level do you get
third
this?
level.
Third. Jesus.
So we're still on 3rd level. We haven't gone anywhere yet.
This might be the closest thing we have to a proper animal companion in 5th edition.
I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
A decent, useful one that you're not just constantly trying to hide.
Fuck
Yeah.
you, Ranger. We're doing it better than you are.
Yeah.
So now we're at a 3rd level. We'll move to 5th level. Extra attack. You're basically a fighter. You get 2 attacks now.
Goddamn.
Just why not?
We should run a game one day, even if we do it for the podcast,
Where we're
we
all
just do
artificers?
all the new artificers, or just
Yeah.
do all of the new classes.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be
That'd
insane.
be fantastic. Level 9, you get Arcane Jolt, which,
I'm in.
yeah, it already sounds great, doesn't it? Whenever you hit a target with a magic weapon attack, which at this point, why would you not be using a magic weapon?
I feel like Arcane Jolt should have been for the Alchemist because I'm just picturing Jolt Cola.
Yeah. Arcane Jolt also sounds like a good hair
That
metal
stuff is
band.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. But whenever you attack with a magical weapon, which obviously you are, or if your pet, your Steel Defender that we just talked about, hits on its attack,
Bubbles over here.
that's right. You channel that magical energy through the strike, and you can do one of 2 things. You can either do an extra 2d6 force damage, again, more force damage, always good, or you can heal someone for 2d6 energy within 30 feet of you. So this is, again, better than Healing Word,
Yeah.
right? So you get to make your attack do your damage, and just as a bonus, an improved Healing Word
Yeah, so now
on
we
anybody within 30 feet.
So now the War Cleric can go home.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Ranger can go home. The Bard, not really needed.
Like,
either.
why would you make a party of anything other than all artificers? Aside from the fact that they wouldn't be able to communicate or deal with each other.
You know, the one thing that they still need a barbarian.
They do.
Yeah.
There's no crossover with the barbarian, and I'm pretty sure that the wizard and the straight up life cleric are looking at each other, going like, "Let's fuck this guy up."
Yeah.
What a fucking nerd!
Yeah, this guy's the worst.
I love the idea of having the barbarian for the one check that the artificer doesn't make, and the DM goes, "It will, like Armageddon style, it will work, but you have to push the button yourself."
Yeah.
The barbarian just hurling the gnome artificer.
Wait a minute, can we talk about this?
I don't like this idea. And you can use this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. And at 9th level, you bet this is at least 4 times a day.
Yeah.
Yep.
4 or 5 times a day. 15th level. This is the last one you get. At 15th level, your Arcane Jolt and Steel Defender become more powerful. So the pet that you have... we'll go with Arcane Jolt first. You get increased from 2d6 to 4d6.
Fuck.
So
What level is this? 14?
this is 15th level.
15.
Your Steel Defender gets a +2 to its AC, so you're up to 17 on this thing now. And whenever your Steel Defender uses a deflect attack, which we kind of touched on with the Homunculus, it's very similar.
Yeah.
So basically, as a reaction, it can deflect the attack. So the idea is if something within 5 feet of your defender attacks something that isn't it, disadvantage.
It's just another fairly decent party member, though. So it's
Yeah.
another body on the battlefield to do flanking with,
Yep.
to help your rogue out with their
I feel like you're
sneak
spending
attack.
a lot of downtime putting them back together.
Yeah, so it gets that at level 3. At level 15, now whenever it uses that ability, basically whoever it stopped from attacking takes 1d4 plus your intelligence modifier, both force damage.
I'm all about the Steel Defender when you're in mobs. When you're fighting a shit ton of gnolls, right? 20 gnolls rush the battlefield, and you're sitting there going, this is a decent encounter. The action economy is against the party. Here you go. Steel Defender's going to matter.
Yeah, you put them right in the middle.
When they go up against a Merilith,
Yeah.
that Merilith with the 7 attacks around is just going to fuck this thing up on round 1.
Oh, yeah, it'll be done.
And so it really depends on, you're going to have to strategize depending on the encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Would a Steel Defender go into a bag of holding?
I would...
Medium construct.
A construct can go in?
I don't know.
I think you can actually, the rules is written, you can put a creature in.
Actually, on that, let's just go real quick. We didn't touch on it, but you can actually make bags of holding as an artificer, starting at level 2.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean,
I don't like bags of holding anyway.
yeah. But yeah, level 2, you can just say, I want one of those.
Yeah. I like what Adam does with the holding items, which makes them very small or odd shapes. And I have
It has to be able to fit through the mouth of the bag.
Through the mouth of the bag,
I
that
have
makes
a
sense.
I have
And
a
this
tube
wouldn't
of
fit through
holding.
the mouth of the bag. So if you're playing by that rule,
Breathing creatures inside the bag can survive up to a number of minutes equal to 10,
Well, are these even
divided by
breathing?
the number of creatures.
they're constructs. Are they even breathing?
So they don't breathe.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. That rule doesn't apply.
Yep.
Sweet.
So I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, do you need to? I mean, you can summon this thing whenever you want, basically.
Yeah, well, I like the idea of you just grabbing your bag of holding going, sick 'em!
Yeah.
And this thing comes out. Like the ape wielding 2, like, magical axes, one in each hand.
Love it.
Wearing a helmet. Not even armor. Just a crooked helmet. Get him, Daisy!
Oh, God, that's horrifying.
That is absolutely horrifying. I love it.
Actually, I should touch on it as well. If you talked about just killing this thing outright, you can, if you cast Mending on it, again, we discussed the 2d6, but if it's died within the last hour, you can use your Smith's tools in action to provide you're within 5 feet of it, expend 1 spell slot at first level or higher. So you can do this in combat.
To just bring it back up.
To just bring it back, you just gotta use a first level spell.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, you're pretty limited with your number of spells, so that actually has...
it does.
like
It's
you
a little
have-
more of a hit.
Yeah, that's an actual resource drain, but you may want this, especially within the last hour,
Within
at
the
the
last
end
hour,
of
yeah.
combat.
Yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
Man, I love it. I'm all over that.
So that's the Battlesmith.
The Battlesmith, that was really good
That thing is
subclass. Very
wild.
powerful. But you know what? I could do a one-shot or something. It'll be hilarious. It'll be awesome. Go nuts. Okay, so I'm going to point out to everybody that Adam chose at random the subclasses for us
I
this
actually
week.
rolled based on our alphabetical order, and then the alphabetical order on these.
But for mine, the Artillerist, if ever anything could have lined up so perfectly for me,
Yup.
I was like, okay, I'll do my research for the episode. I'll get ready. And I read the first line of the subclass, and I was like, I'm in.
This is a work of art.
It said, Terry, this one's for you.
That's the first line. It said, Terry, this one's for you, semicolon. An artillerist specializes in using magic to hurl energy projectiles and explosions on a battlefield. I closed the book. I said, that's it. I'm done.
You should get to paragraph 2 then, because it talks about Dan's furniture for you next.
This was actually on my first pass through. Artillerist was my number 1, and then I got to Battlesmith after Artillerist. I said, never mind.
Well, this is brilliant because I thought for a while we don't really have like any heavy weapons specialists in D&D because it's like a medieval fantasy game. Like how crazy can you get? But we can do it with this as long as it works for the campaign that we're trying to run. So tool proficiency, when you adopt a specialization at 3rd level, you gain proficiency with woodcarver's tools. Okay, sure. If you already have this proficiency, you gain proficiency with one other type of artisan's tools of your choice.
So same as the Battlesmith, but just
the
woodworkers.
Alchemist gets one as well.
Yeah, they all do, but different. They get specific tools.
Specific different ones. Yeah.
So they get their own spells as well. So the artillerist spells. 3rd level, you get Shield and Thunderwave. I love Thunderwave. I love blasting Thunderwave off. I was doing it last night. 5th, Scorching Ray, Shatter. 9th.
He played in our D&D game last night using.
Oh, I thought this was on home thing.
I thought this was not him on the toilet at home last night.
I thought this was a personal.
No.
I just looked at Dan, I looked at Adam. I was like, "Hold on, can you fill me in on this?" Is there something?
I'm very. I don't know if my druid is incompetent. He's reckless. I play very reckless.
Yes. Well, this is the evil campaign, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Although he cried last night, but anyway.
Who says bad boys can't cry?
9th level, you get Fireball and Wind Wall. 13th, Ice Storm, Wall of Fire. These are like my favorite spells ever. Anyway. 17th, get Cone of Cold, Wall of Force. Okay.
So lots of area of effect.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
These
it.
are battlefield control.
Yeah,
and it's just pure artillery, right? Just causing absolute chaos, and that's what I love to do with my characters: is just constantly keep the bad guy on the back foot, having to deal with the bullshit that I throw at them.
Now, remember I pointed out beforehand that there were no real spells above cantrip level that were offensive.
Yes.
Now there are.
Here we go. Yeah, that's it. So now we have the artillerist spells here. Okay. How about this? Eldritch Cannon. I'm down. Every time I get to a new paragraph of this subclass, I'm all over it. So at 3rd level, you learn how to create a magical cannon using woodcarver's tools. Okay, fine.
Yeah, that one, I was like, really?
I was like, all right.
They're just carving these cans out of wood?
No, it's magic.
Or Smith's tools.
Eldritch Cannon is the name of my wood.
You can take an action to magically create a small or tiny eldritch cannon in an unoccupied space.
Whoa! What do you mean small or tiny? I take back my comment.
To magically create an average-sized cannon in an occupied space. A small eldritch cannon occupies its space, and a tiny one can be held in one hand. I swear, it's in the book. It's in the book. I can. Mine's held in
small
one hand.
dick energy.
Fuck. Once you create a cannon, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest. It gets better. Oh man, I love it.
They knew, right? When they wrote this, they knew.
Yeah,
right. This was intentional.
This was why it was written for Terry.
Yeah, I know. You can only have one cannon at a time and can't get another one while your cannon is present. We're not going to get to the end of it.
I'm sorry, this never happened to me before.
Well, let's bring this guy in.
Sorry, only one cannon at a time.
We got to tag out.
Okay. The cannon is a magical object regardless of size. The cannon has an
That's what we tell ourselves.
There's a period there. The cannon is a magical object. Period. Regardless of size, the cannon has an AC of 18 and a number of hit points equal to 5 times your artificer level. I'm sorry.
I haven't been listening since...
In the UK, we pronounce this word artificer, and I'm trying very, very, very hard to say artificer.
Artificer?
Artificer. So if I say artificer at any point, I apologize.
That's fine.
It is immune to poison damage, psychic damage in all conditions. If it is forced to make an ability check or saving throw, treat all ability scores as 10, so +0 modifier. If the mending spell is cast on it, it regains 2d6 hit points. It disappears if it is reduced to 0 hit points or after 1 hour. You can dismiss it early as an action. When you create the cannon, I want to go through this in detail because it's important for later. When you create the cannon, you determine its appearance and whether it has legs.
I'm going to say no, thank you.
I love the idea of it just having two human legs and just running around.
Oh, see, I just pictured it as like 2 rounded cannonballs.
Yeah. You also decide which type it is, choosing from the options on the Eldritch Cannons table.
Locks it on.
Yeah.
On each of your turns, you can take a bonus action to cause the cannon to activate if you're within 60 feet of it. I'm trying to get through it. As part of the same bonus action, you can direct the cannon to walk or climb up to 15 feet to an unoccupied space, provided it has legs. Okay.
So you can choose whether it has legs, but don't choose that it doesn't have legs because it needs to have
what's
legs.
the point? I imagine unless you want to mount it on something, but even so.
Take a breather.
Here are the Eldritch Cannons that we have. We have the choice of Flamethrower, Force Ballista, or Protector. Flamethrower exhales fire in an adjacent 15-foot cone that you designate. Each creature in that area must make a Dex saving throw against your spell save DC, taking 2d8 on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. The fire ignites any flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried, because your players will cry that you set their stuff on fire.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I love the idea of blowing up everyone goes down for like a long rest. They get roused from their tents to go out and fight, whatever, ambush them in the middle of the night, and you burn their fucking tents and all their shit.
I love the idea of you come to the village, which is being occupied by the enemy, and they won't let you in, so you just
burn it
down from outside and go in. But that's what
15-foot cone is not a long range, but
yeah, and this is kind of leaning more in towards modern day artillery, which is what it's used for. You essentially bomb the shit out of the place and then send the infantry in. So Force Ballista, you make a ranged spell attack originating from the cannon at one creature or object within 120 feet of it. So this is not area of effect. Now it's a single target. On a hit, the target takes 2d8 force damage, and if the target is a creature of any size, it is pushed up to 5 feet away from the cannon.
Cool.
Or you have I love that. So now you have the precision sniper rifle if you want. Protector. The cannon emits a burst of positive energy that grants itself and each creature of your choice within 10 feet of it a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier. So a minimum.
So we talked about the Battlesmith being the tanky one.
Yeah.
You at least have some tank utility with this.
This feels like a glass cannon to me because you said any creature. I love the idea of the artillerist running up to the freaking Tarrasque, pushing the thing, they go boom, and it knocks the Tarrasque back 5 feet.
Yep.
And then the Tarrasque just eats it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, your character's dead. But I love that idea of just...
Or even, if you have if you have your barbarian, your war cleric, your paladin, whatever, your fighter, and everybody's surrounding this large or huge creature, and you just send it back 5 feet, well, now everybody gets their attacks of opportunity.
Yeah.
So now you have another 3 or 4 attacks on this creature. And by the way, you can do this every round, so...
This is going to be super useful for knocking shit through portals and off cliffs, too.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Here's what kind of sucks, though. You can create one a day with only 2d6 health points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can mend it.
You can mend it, but what happened... You can't repair it once it's broken, right? It disappears if it's reduced to hit points.
To 0 hit points,
right. So if it goes to 0, which it only has...
But you know what? If you're playing an artillery type character, you're trying to stay away.
Yeah.
You can get right to the back.
Not the flamethrower. 15-foot range on a flamethrower.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 15-foot range, so you're running in 15 feet, hitting them with it, and then running back 15 feet.
Yeah. It's all just going to be about strategy. 5th level, Arcane Firearm. You know how to turn a wand, staff, or rod into an arcane firearm. I've been waiting for this. Here we go again. I've got this Wild West character named Remington, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to
has
be
the
Remington.
wand that's kind of shaped like a revolver that this is made for right here.
God, I'm glad you said revolver.
When you finish a long rest, you can use your woodcarver's tools to carve special sigils into a wand, staff, or rod, and thereby turn it into your arcane firearm. The sigils disappear from the object if you later carve them onto a different item. The sigils otherwise last indefinitely. You can use your arcane firearm as a spellcasting focus for your Artificer spells. When you cast an Artificer spell through the firearm, roll a d8 and you gain a bonus to one of the spell's damage rolls equal to the number rolled.
That's cool.
Pretty good, right? Yeah, extra damage with it.
And man, I'm not crazy about firearms, period.
Yeah.
However, Eberron is all about that kind of tech and the Artificer. This is built for it. If you're going to be a gunslinger...
It's an arcane firearm, too, right? You're not actually... It's not gunpowder.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
but I'm resistant to the idea of it in the first place.
Gunpowder is a lot to manage, so if you don't want that in your campaign, but you're like I'm saying, no, I would like to play like a gunslinger type character, you have this option now.
Yeah, absolutely.
This would be rad as a Warforged.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit. Guess. Yeah, you could essentially become Jazz for the Transformers here.
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Wow, my brain did not go there. Yes, you could.
All right. Anyway, sorry, I derailed you.
Well, speaking of Jazz, Explosive Cannon. Starting at 9th level, every Eldritch Cannon you create is more destructive.
Yeah.
That's it. The cannon's damage rolls all increase by 1d8. As an action, you can command the cannon to detonate if you are within 60 feet of it. Doing so destroys the cannon and forces each creature, regardless of size, within 20 feet of it to make a dex saving throw against your spell save DC, taking 3d8 force damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. So
once a day.
when the mob comes in, if it's going south, run away, and as they're running after you, blow that cannon up.
Send it in.
Yeah, send it in. Yeah, that's
Just
right.
put it in the doorway as the rest of the party runs by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortified position.
Sorry, to blow up the bad guys, not the party running by.
Of course.
I had to be clear for Terry.
We did clarify that, the Artificer is the wild card. Yeah. He doesn't need the rest of the party.
It wasn't even
Wild card, baby.
It wasn't even me hurting the party last night. It was RU0K who was doing. Who was the Warforged guy? He was causing all the damage to everyone, as I remember, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evil campaign.
Yes, but he's a medic. He's a Warforged medic.
Okay.
He's a paladin, and he does lay on hands for a fee.
Right, of course.
He haggles terribly.
But it's RU-0K.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
are you
yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that. He also has a pet, and whose name is Annie. So it's Annie, are you okay? There we go. That's what I deal with in my evil campaign. So
I love it.
I'm glad someone does.
It hurts me. It hurts me, but I do love
That
that
is
campaign.
my kind of character creation right there.
Well, I come from a campaign that was so, like, Adam's campaign that I played is so serious and in-depth, and we get so wrapped up with these characters, and, like, show up to this group, and then, like, I don't know, fucking kill everything, man, smoke these weird herbs, and whatever.
I helped Dan come
And
up
then
with
let's play D&D.
I helped Dan come up with a character for my campaign that I mostly regret, but it's a goblin bard whose name is Rojam Mott, and he's got a star or a lightning bolt across his face and makeup.
Yeah.
Rojam Mott backwards, Major Tom,
Oh, my... just that...
And he's a glamour bard.
and he's a glamour bard.
Of course he is.
I helped Dan come up with this character, so I only have myself to blame. Anyways, back on topic.
Okay, fortified position. Starting at 15th level, you're a master at forming well-defended emplacements using Eldritch Cannon. You're really relying on your Eldritch Cannon here.
Yes.
Yeah. You and your allies have half cover while within 10 feet of a cannon you create with Eldritch Cannon as a result of shimmering field of magical protection that the cannon emits. That's pretty useful.
Yeah,
That's
very
pretty
much so.
useful, okay? You can now have 2 cannons at the same time.
nice.
You can
This
create...
is some
Title of my
anime.
sex tape.
This is some anime level shit right here.
You can create 2 with the same action, but not the same spell slot. So you can just create 2 at once.
Yeah.
And you can activate both of them with the same bonus action. You determine whether the cannons are identical to each other or different. One might be bigger than the other one, for example.
Well, the other one's just cold, but
Maybe they don't know about shrinkage if you're using the
I
cannons
was in the pool.
in water.
so
Exactly.
hold on. Using the same action, but not the same spell slot.
That's
so
correct.
You're essentially blowing twice the spell slot.
2 spell slots, 1 action.
2
yeah.
slots, 1 action.
You can't create a 3rd cannon while you have 2.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is it for the artillerist. I mean,
I freaking love it.
you know
yeah,
what I'm going to
it's
do. I'm
very
just
cool.
going to be blowing the shit out of everything, causing absolute chaos. But
But you also have all of the other artificer
Regular
shit,
Artificer
right,
stuff
as
underneath
well.
it.
So
So before we jump, speaking of regular Artificer stuff, before we jump into yours,
yeah.
I know you look at these two, the Artillerist and the Battlesmith. They basically, why would you run with the Homunculus Servant at this point? You kind of have a replacement for both of them between the.
Because I want to be a
Cannons and
general.
Yeah.
I want an army.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but. I mean, the Homunculus Servant is just a worse version of your Steel Defender.
Homunculus Servant is so that I don't have to take the Ritual Caster feat and get familiar.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want a familiar. Because that's basically. The Homunculus Servant is just a better familiar.
Even in the Eberron book here, the artillerist is quite clearly supposed to be a gunslinger.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
He's just a
absolutely.
cowboy here, so yeah. Oh,
All right, so now finally we are on to my personal favorite because I have been complaining about this subclass in every previous edition of D&D, and I'm finally happy with it. The Alchemist is a kind of artificer. Finally. So, you are good at combining reagents to produce mystical effects. You can give life or leech it away. It's the oldest of the artificer traditions, and its versatility has long been valued during times of war and peace. There are a whole bunch of really cool things that you can do, but it's pretty standard at the beginning. You, get a new tool proficiency. This one is Alchemist tool, right? You also get spells. I'll go through them really quickly. Healing Word. This is 3rd level. Healing Word and Ray of Sickness. 5th level is Flaming Sphere and Melf's Acid Arrow. 9th level is Gaseous Form, which is kind of fun. And Mass Healing Word. 13th level is Blight and Death Ward. Blight.
I love Blight.
Yeah, I love Blight too, and it feels like it's coming late at 13th level, but you're a half caster, so it's coming late anyway. And at 17th, you get Cloud Kill and Raise Dead.
Cloud Kill is brutal.
Yeah, and I know that you're waiting until like middle of tier 4 for that, but man, you're going to love it when you get it. So here's what you get. Instead of a Steel Defender or a freaking cannon on legs, you get an experimental elixir. Beginning at 3rd level. You all right?
Already just imagine the campaign. Yeah. Here's an experimental elixir.
Drink this.
All right,
good luck.
One of us is.
I see the alchemists drinking it themselves.
Sometimes.
A lot of it.
Well, wait for it.
I'm aware, yeah.
Yeah, beginning at 3rd level, when you finish a long rest, you can magically produce one of these in an empty flask that you touch. Then you roll on the table for the effect. Creating one requires you to have alchemist supplies on your person. It's funny, you don't actually have to use them.
You just have to have them.
Yeah. And any elixir you create with this feature lasts until it is drunk or until the end of your next long rest. So you really get one of these.
You've got a 24-hour shelf life on these things.
Yep. However, when you reach certain levels of this class, you can make more elixirs at the end of a long rest, 2 at 6th and 3 at 15th. And you roll for each elixir's effect separately. Each elixir requires its own flask, obviously, and you can create additional experimental elixirs by expending a spell slot of 1st level or higher for each one. When you do so, you use your action to create the elixir in an empty flask, so you can just make more and more and more of these.
But you get to choose when you use the spell level, which is key.
Yeah. As an action, a creature can drink the elixir or administer it to an incapacitated creature.
So you can't force it down somebody's throat.
You can if they're incapacitated.
But a conscious, you can't just run up to somebody and go whack.
But you roll in the experimental elixir table, which is triggered when someone drinks the elixir. So you roll on it ahead of time and you know what it is, but it doesn't go off until somebody quaffs the drink.
Okay.
So you get you roll a d6. You can either heal them for 2d4 plus your intelligence modifier, or you can increase someone's walking speed by 10 feet for an hour, or they get +1 bonus to AC for 10 minutes, which can be pretty useful. That's a couple of encounters chained in a row.
Yeah.
The drinker can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to every attack roll and saving throw they make. So, I mean, it's essentially bless. You get a flying speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes. Or you get 10 minutes of the Alter Self spell. And the drinker gets to choose what they turn into.
I like this. I like the thought of creating a Jekyll and Hyde character.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, just the...
Yeah, I really like the idea of having just, like, you roll for it, and then you have these 3 potions, you put them inside your jacket.
Yeah.
And you just wait for the opportunity to pull it. Oh, I have a potion for that. Right?
Because you already know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Now, would you have each of them have a distinct color or look, or are they completely unidentifiable by anybody other than you?
I would have them be clear and bubbling, and there's like a stopper in the top of the flask, right? But I mean, maybe it's clear,
Yeah.
so that you can see that it is just filled with smoke above the liquid as well. Like, it's got to be weird and crazy magical.
I mean, these are all beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Which I like and don't like at the same time.
Now, I actually add different colors to different potions depending on what it is. So I probably would. But, I mean, I can see you just say, hey, drink this.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
I mean, would you homebrew maybe more options for that? And just say, hey, how many is there? So
There's
8?
only 6.
The 6.
Make it a D8, maybe add a couple that could go wrong, one that could go awry.
You get 20. You get more shit in a minute, though.
Okay.
All right. So, at 5th level, you become an alchemical savant, which means you are a master of magical chemicals. You can enhance healing or damage that you create to them. Whenever you cast a spell using your Alchemist Supplies as the focus, you gain a bonus to one roll of the spell. The roll must restore hit points or be a damage roll that deals acid, fire, necrotic, or poison. And the bonus is equal to your intelligence modifier. So, you would just say, hey, you know what? I have this really potent spell, like my healing word will be a +4 on top of it because of my intelligence modifier.
Right.
Or my blight is going to do +4 damage, right?
Yeah.
So, specifically, acid, fire, necrotic, or poison damage. That really tracks with the idea of the alchemist, right?
Yeah, it's in line.
I'd be surprised if it was thunder damage, or right?
Did it say fire? Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Acid, fire, necrotic, or poison.
Yeah,
that tracks.
all lines up.
Or healing, right? So all of that, like your potions master, right? Yeah. At 9th level, you get restorative reagents, where you can incorporate some of these reagents into your works. Whenever a creature drinks an experimental elixir that you've created, the creature gains temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier.
So just as a bonus on top of what you're
on top of the other stuff, you also get 2d6 plus probably 4 or 5.
Right.
Temporary hit points. You can cast Lesser Restoration without expending a spell slot.
I picture this as a syringe.
Yeah. You also don't have to prepare the spell, provided that you use the Alchemist Supplies as a spellcasting focus. So, like, it's not even a syringe. It could just be another, like,
potion.
Here, drink this, trust me.
Yeah.
You can do so a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, so 4. And you regain all of them when you finish a long rest. At 15th level, you become you get chemical mastery, so you become a master. You've been exposed to so many chemicals that they pose little risk to you, and you can use them to quickly end certain ailments.
I love this. This just tracks. This is so flavorful.
You just gain resistance to acid and poison damage, and you're immune to the poisoned condition.
Perfect.
You can also cast Greater Restoration and Heal without expending a spell slot, without preparing the spell, and without material components, provided you use Alchemist Supplies as the spellcasting focus.
Greater Restoration, an unlimited amount of times per day?
I would even...
Once.
Once.
That text there, I would almost play it like Archer, where he doesn't want to stop drinking because the hangover will kill him. It's kind of like that. He just
absolutely. You have to keep something in your veins.
Be intoxicated at all times.
Yeah, we've talked about Tyler on the podcast. He did the music for the Cthulhu
stuff. Yeah.
So we're gonna dip a little in Pathfinder, but he basically played this character, just the mad elixir master. The guy was just crazed, always had something in his veins.
I've seen this character played, the same character played over and over and over again. It's a pretty standard trope.
It is.
Of that guy that just blows himself up, cackles hysterically, and starts brewing potions again.
Yeah.
That's what this is. You asked earlier, would I homebrew? More options? No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, not on top of the rest of this overpowered class already.
Yeah.
You keep in mind that you can make these. Plus, you're making you get all the restoration spells inherently. You get the ability to heal or do extra damage, and you've got all of these additional spells. You get 10 additional spells. Most of them, at every level, you get the ability to do some sort of damage. Right? Yeah. There's a lot that's going on here. I have a quick question before we move on, though. Because you can turn into gaseous form, what happens if someone breathes you?
I guess you can...
They have to exhale at some point.
Yeah, and you could, if you're gas, you could just leave them yourself.
Yeah.
Right, but could I just turn back into my regular form while I'm in someone's lungs?
Adam, this is what you do, right?
I feel like this would cause you as much harm as them.
You did this to me with Create Water.
Yeah.
Because they probably didn't breathe in all of you, so you would probably reform in pieces.
Oh, yeah, you reform with your foot in their lung and your knee sticking out of his mouth.
Well, that's the same as... vampires can choose to do that. They can turn into mist. Why can't they just go inside of you and reform? Yeah,
I think they absolutely should. I think that is fantastic.
I think it would end badly for them as well.
Yes, but I also think that they're vampires and don't give a shit, and they can regain hit points when they drain your body afterwards.
And when they turn to 0 hit points, they just turn to mist.
Yeah.
Boom. What happened?
So there we go. That is the final Artificer subclass. That's all of them, so we only have 3. Now, I mean, it goes without saying that
They're a hell of a 3.
yeah.
I like them all. Yeah.
So, yeah, we obviously didn't touch on the Unearthed Arcana version of it or the Wayfarer's version of it.
Those are both basically done now, right?
Yeah, now that we have the official Rising from the Last War book, this is it. This is what we have now. So, I want to talk about creative builds, but before we do that, let's move to our shout-out section really quickly. And I just wanted to say, I'm going to keep this real short and sweet here. Thank you to everyone who has supported us. We're into year 2. We're still in kind of the infant stages of year 2, and year 1 has been so fantastic. We are so grateful to everyone that supported us either through shoutouts or links or even just passing the word to your friends, especially to those of you who donated through the website, and who have listened to all of our shows. Every time that you download, it helps us immensely. So thanks to everybody. And if you have someone that you want to shout out, contact us at info@itsamimic.com. And if you want to donate, go to www.itsamimic.com. We're not expecting you to donate. I'm pretty sure it's just Dan. Over
Keep the wheel moving.
Yeah, we're pretty sure that's just a tax thing.
Yeah. We're laundering.
It's all going to offshore accounts.
I think we're accessories now. I don't know how it's going to work.
So, anyway, that's, if you want us to give an on-air shout out to someone that you know listens or that should listen and will, if they tune in to hear their own name, then send us an email and we will definitely do that. But let's get onto some creative builds now. So, yeah, you guys, Terry looks excited. Grab your dice, gentlemen.
Excited.
I'm ready to go. As
All
long
right,
as you
do
guys
this.
are equally as excited about my build and don't just, say shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably is.
Natural 20. Man, I've been doing good tonight.
17 for me.
I got a 10.
Nice. That means I get to go first, hey? So I'm gonna stick with the subclass that I did. So the Artillerist. I like this idea, and this isn't really for one single character. It could be that, but I'm thinking on a grander scale. I was leaning into dwarves, and I like the idea of the dwarves disappearing into their mountains, almost because they want to start to decode magic and kind of reverse engineer it to make their armies and their weapons, because they're very prideful, very ambitious people, to make them stronger. And then they kind of reappear, or they send this player character out to do that. And I like the idea of it could even be used in a campaign of kind of what happened in World War I, which is where this superpower existed, so then another superpower existed, and then they couldn't help but fight each other because there's two superpowers and they have to fight each other.
Yeah.
So I like this idea of then suddenly the dwarves, through their own ambition, becoming a threat to everybody else, and kind of doing it in that way, in almost like a forbidden way. And I really like the idea.
Which
breaking the rules.
Which is really cool because dwarves are traditionally divine magic. And this is very much arcane magic.
It is.
Right.
So you're kind of breaking the mold, which is neat. So maybe it's a dwarf clan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not
sure.
necessarily dwarves as a whole, as a race, but a dwarf clan, because, there is traditional things, but there's always new leaders, new ideas, and whatever. And I just like this as an idea that could be used as a campaign arc, almost to really bring Artificers to life within the world. Is that you're kind of viewing it from more of an engineering point of view now, which is what dwarves are, engineers. So.
Yeah, that feels that feels right at home, especially in an Eberron campaign.
I also like the idea of you walking up to the cliff face to go, I know there's a dwarven door here somewhere to get to the, hold on, if I just, and as you reach out to touch the cliff face, 5 or 6 little openings appear and cannons stick out.
Yeah,
at you.
absolutely.
Right. This is no longer the one guard with the crossbow. Who goes there?
Yeah.
This is state your business.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's a lot of fun. I like that. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm second. So again, we're sticking to our subclasses. So I'm going to go with Battlesmith. Again, I'm with you. Artificers give me a total dwarf vibe. I know you were talking about gnomes being tinkerers and things like that.
Yeah.
These weren't so much, especially the Battlesmith was not a tinkerer. It is an armorer, a fighter. This is somebody who's going into the fray. So I'm very much picturing a dwarf. This dwarf has a Bostonian accent because he's wicked smart.
He's a dwarf.
He's a dwarf. He's wicked smart.
My boy's wicked smart.
A smartificer, if you will.
Fuck. That's the only reason you chose the accent.
It's 100% the reason I chose it. But I picture him, basically he is the defender of his clan. But he is looking to go and find a weapon of the gods that has been crafted by the dwarven gods. And his whole goal is
every time you make a character, they're looking for a crafted weapon by the dwarven god.
You bet they are.
This is as bad as Dan.
As Dan with his gnomes? Oh, I'm well aware.
Dan with his gnomes, Terry with his perverts. Everyone... Everybody has a type.
Everybody's got a type.
Well, I had that one character, my cleric, that was so not a pervert. It almost seemed like, but he was like so not a pervert.
So what is
like
your?
Nobody just like, dude, what is your deal?
You got some sort of real kinky kink that we don't.
Are you asexual? You freak? What's the matter with you?
Yeah, it's true. I do have a thing for. That's just why the Artificer came right up my out.
No, phrasing. It was weird that you locked eyes with Terry when you said that.
Well, you know. But yeah, so very much this dwarven defender, and I still like the Smartificer, the wicked smart.
I like that too. I would enjoy you doing that accent and then Dan trying to do that accent next year.
You're wicked smart. Fuck, hold on, I can do this. You're wicked smart. Fuck, hold on.
I came up with this idea while watching the commercial for the Super Bowl from Hyundai. I don't know if you saw that one where they were all doing the Boston. It clicked in my brain.
Yeah, I did.
That's what put this in my mind.
Yeah.
All right, so I got the Alchemist, and one of the things that I wanted to do, which was a little bit different, is I want to look at the Ravnica races for a second, because we've never really talked about them here.
No, you haven't.
But one of the ones that exist is called the Simic Hybrid, where they are replacing bits and pieces of themselves with parts of other creatures. And I feel like your Alchemist can go very much hand in hand, especially with the restoration and whatnot. The idea of replacing parts and trying to find the perfect brew for enlightenment. Whatever they're brewing, whatever potion or acid or poison that they're concocting, they just get weirder over time too. Like they suddenly one day after level 6 they show up and they've got a lizard folk eyeball in their right socket, right? Yeah. So they just get stranger and weirder, and I love the idea of eventually they become immune to acid or resistant to acid and poison and immune to being poisoned just because they've been inhaling this shit for so long that they're kind of weird and they bubble when they speak, and that might be the gills they gave themselves. Yeah. But it might also not be, right? So
it could just be their lungs burbling inside them.
Yeah.
I like the idea of creeping madness into these types of characters.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so the idea of the wacky
cursed items, right?
The happy-go-lucky, I'm gonna blow shit up. I think that's been played out. I want to go the darker route on this of it being really sinister. And I think that you start off chaotic good.
Yep.
And slowly descent.
Descend into
and that'll be the mercury poisoning that's doing it.
Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. The first thing I saw when I was looking at the Alchemist was the same thing. The Simic Hybrid jumped to mind pretty much instantly.
I love the idea also of them having like a crab claw for one hand. And so like he struggles to use the tools, but he can still do it and whatnot. Yeah. And when he's talking, the claw is like clicking.
Oh, yeah.
As he talks, and then he's holding a potion, he clicks it, and then it shatters. I go, shit. Not again. Yeah, right? And like this, he's a little bit creepy, and I think he starts off, I would start him off as a Goliath. And have him, like, descend piece by piece.
Yeah. See, I was picturing more of a noble, like a Waterdavian noble, right? That's just someone in this upper class that was just... They were just experimenting, and they slowly deteriorated into this.
I just like the idea of there being the exact opposite version of what it's going to end up being, and you can see the real Smeagol to Golem descent into madness and creepiness to the point where at the end they're eating lichen by licking rocks, and that's how they sustain themselves.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody do an interesting build the other way with an Alchemist, where they're redeeming themselves. Because I feel like the Alchemist leans itself so much to the mad scientist who's just getting, like, deteriorating. I'd like to see almost the other way around. I don't know if I could do it, but I'd like to see somebody else try and pull it off.
The only reason that I wouldn't do that is just because it's not interesting to me as a DM. If someone comes to my table and says, hey, I've got an Alchemist that wants to redeem his worth by going back with the potion that can do whatever, blank.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now we know that that's going to happen by the end of the campaign.
Right.
I don't need to do that. We'll tell the story. I'll line up the 5 or 6 beats to get to it. but I don't have brain power into this anymore. It takes me 25 minutes to write out the overall outline of it, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And we can move on to other plot lines. Like, that's not a crazy character that I, as a DM, am reacting to by tier 4. I'm still just dropping breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Could we do something like almost like a Jekyll and Hyde type thing, which is where the for whatever reason, from experimenting with elixirs, for whatever reason, the race will change. Can this gnome artificer, if it takes enough damage, become a Goliath?
Well, I don't see any reason why become a Goliath. Maybe not, but but for all intents and purposes, there's no reason they can't get a belt of hill giant strength and a jacket of enlarge. And they become a 7 foot tall, medium sized creature that's whopping 19 in strength.
Yeah.
Anytime they hit somebody.
I mean, you can burn a spell slot to alter self for 10 minutes as many times as you want in a day. So I mean, you could technically do that. Would you maybe allow alter self to go a little bit further beyond that and maybe change your stat block?
Well, no. Change the stat block? No. But you don't need to when you can attune and you have this infusion to get all of those magic items and get access to that with that one infusion. I feel like that's the one. I said, I like the homunculus, but this one with all of the magic items.
I'm thinking even
that
like
you could replicate.
Bruce Banner and Hulk, right? Where it's bursting out.
Yeah, but in this version of it for an artificer, the purple pants let him Hulk out. Right. So it is it's the Thor's hammer.
But it's under control, right? How do you make that uncontrollable? Because that's kind of the appeal of Jekyll and Hyde. That's the appeal of the Hulk, right? Is he can't control when it happens.
Well, I mean, you just have a cursed item that he can attune to, right? Which will boost his physical stats and drop his mental ones.
Yeah,
sure. Right? So, shift his alignment, right? So something like that. So depending on, and again, you have 6 attunement slots.
You do.
So you can do one for every single ability.
Yeah.
Which love it. Scale as you go.
Yeah, you could. So there are a lot of options here for an artificer. And they're one of the superior classes. How often, Terry, have we sat down and been like, so druids, I just fucking hate druids. Or rangers, God, I just hate
I'm
rangers.
actually thoroughly enjoying my druid. But I think only in that campaign setting, though. And I think if I had played that druid character in the other campaign I played with you, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. Just because it's a ridiculous campaign that it seems to work. But artificers overall, do you like them? We've had trouble liking classes. I forget which classes that we like. Fighter.
No, you came off liking fighter. I was wish-washy on it. I think that we liked wizard and bard and rogue.
I'm cleric.
And paladin.
I always like the cleric, but this is enough to pull me away from
I like cleric.
I do like we
cleric.
did.
Rogue is like, you like it.
It depends on the subclass.
Rogue is like you like it, but you shouldn't like it in a way. But yeah.
You're just really excited that My Chemical Romance is getting back together, and that's all you could talk about when you're a rogue?
Yeah, I think so. I actually fucking hate My Chemical Romance. I'm really annoyed with that. But whatever.
You're just making friends on the podcast.
But now all of My Chemical Romance fans are old now, so it's like, what are we doing here?
All right, so any final thoughts on Artificer? Yes, I love the Artificer.
Yeah.
I should never be allowed to play one.
Yeah,
I will abuse the shit out of it.
You
this
really
lets
would?
me min-max.
Because if I think I shouldn't be allowed to play one, then you definitely should be allowed to play one.
And are we taking bets now? I want to hear. We're going to roll. Everybody gets to roll. We're going to take bets on how long it is before Dan builds an Artificer.
I got an 11.
I got a 12.
So you get to go first.
I'm going to say definitely in a full campaign, not just a one-shot, he'll do it within 2 years.
I think that we should throw the question out like, we'll say, hey, we were talking about maybe trying to put together a loose kind of Eberron campaign, but we just want to see what everyone's feeling out. Like, what would you want to play?
Oh, that's
if you're going to do that?
Yeah.
No, I think he's already got one made ready to go. He's just waiting for somebody to give him the opportunity.
It's probably in this room. The character
It's probably
somewhere.
All right, well, that's it for this week's episode on Artificers. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, as well as other podcast apps, dozens of them. Many of them. Podcast Addict, I think, is one of the big ones that we're on right now.
I can name at least 2.
Can you?
Oh.
What are they?
Go.
iTunes and Spotify.
Thank you.
Wow.
You can also find us at www.itsamimic.com or email us at info@itsamimic.com. Thanks very much for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast. And make sure to check out next week when we're covering, well, it's supposed to be Barbarians, but we just released that because we had to release out of order because of all the illness and horror shit. So next week is actually going to be monstrosities. These are titans above level 20 monstrosities.
Monstrosities. I saw
scary stuff.
I saw there's another dragon episode coming soon.
There is another dragon
Excited.
episode, yes.
They're
The ones where you pick them up, carry them into the air, drop them.
They're my favorite. I think I only did that twice. I have many tactics that I use in my dragons, and I'll defend this till the day I die.
So stay tuned also for 3 weeks from now when you can hear Terry
Pick up a character, fly up 60 feet, and drop them.
come up with a new
I
tactic.
separated them from all different areas. My tactics, go back and listen to the dragon episode. Listen specifically to my tactics, which are phenomenal. You guys didn't hear what my voice just broke there?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard it.
Everybody else.
Oh, we all heard it.
All right.
Can we edit that out?
No.
No.
Do you guys have a favorite magic item from the books?
I do have a favorite magic item from the
Okay,
books,
I want to know.
Now, are we talking like as magic as it can get? Do I have a limit on how magical it can get?
No.
As long as it's in the books?
What's your favorite one? That's.
Oh, yeah, I got one.
Wizards of the Coast, published one. All right,
Plus
let's
one
roll.
sword. No? Okay.
Plus one ammo. That's a fumble for me.
Me too. We're rolling out.
Oh, I will.
Double fumble.
Have we ever had double fumble before?
I don't think so. And a 3 and a 2.
Okay.
Well,
Here you go. That's
you guys
brutal.
are not very good at this. You're lucky that I'm back. I'm back, by the way.
I don't think anybody noticed you
The
were
new
gone.
listeners are like, we don't know who's the new guy? Some people are saying no. My favorite magic item, and it's never really come into any of the games that I've played, but similar items have, is actually the bag of beans. Adam, are you familiar with this?
No.
It's you are.
Oh,
Brad?
I'm very familiar.
It's essentially it's a bag full of beans, and it's one of the random tables, and you pull it out. You can plant a bean. I think actually, if you empty them all out, it explodes.
Yeah, something that's just
Fire
wild.
something, but
Yeah.
it includes you. Absolute chaos.
Is it in the DMG or is it?
It is in the DMG. It is in the DMG.
All right, I'm so curious.
Or you can pull a bean out at random, plant
Yeah.
the bean, and something will happen. It may be that a tree forms, or it may be that you get some mushrooms that do things, but there's a whole load of random stuff. But that's what I love, those magic items where they're random, where it's never certain what the outcome is going to be, because sometimes it causes absolute chaos, which I think is hilarious in a D&D game.
Chaos is always fantastic.
It's good, but sometimes it gives you a nice surprise as well. And it's not quite as chaotic as the deck of many things.
No.
Which I love the idea of. However, we all know
Doesn't
that it
not
doesn't
play
work. So bag of beans.
I'm reading through this now, and this
What
is
do we
freaking
see?
amazing. You can accidentally summon a treant,
Yep.
1d6 plus 6 shriekers, a bullet, a mummy lord. You get a beanstalk, and an animate, immobile stone statue in your likeness rises, and it makes verbal threats against you.
Yeah, that one's probably my favorite one.
There are a handful of really.
Yeah,
Even though it's
they're
inanimate.
Yeah,
glorious.
we got 5d4 toadstools or 1d4 plus 8 bright pink toads.
Yeah.
But I love this as I would use this as probably like the last hurrah type thing, like a please save me, plant a bean.
We're dead
So-
anyways. Save
Come
me,
on,
bag
we
of
can get
beans.
a bullet, we can get a tree, and let's just get out of the room and lock it in with the whatever monster we're fighting, or you can just get toadstools and you're
Yeah.
or a very rude statue.
Yeah. No, that's
I
cool.
like that it's in your likeness. That's probably my favorite
Yeah.
part of that statue.
All right.
You're a second.
Yeah,
You're a
so I was second. My favorite is the figurines of Wondrous Power. Because it's not random. So you actually get to choose which one that you want. They've got a bunch of different options, but essentially you get little figurines that fit in the palm of your hand, and they're of an animal, and then you trigger the magic, and the animal comes to life in some way.
Kind of like from the original Jumanji movie, the little elephant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that it looks
Similar.
kind of like that. There are a bunch of different ones, but you can get 2 golden lions at once, and you can use one or both at the same time. They become lions for up to an hour, but no matter what they are, they're friendly to you and your party, right? So
Right.
You can get goats. My favorite one is the giant fly. You get an ebony fly, and it becomes a large-sized mount. So you just ride around on a fly for like up to 6 hours.
I don't know how I feel about that, but
I think that would just be utter madness, having some sort of fireball-wielding sorcerer up on the back of a giant fly,
Yeah.
weaving
That
through
would be
battle.
wild.
Yeah, or, just trying to get out of the castle, but just keeps hitting the fucking wall and can't find a way.
At least it's not a moth, You just put dancing lights up there and the thing can't go anywhere.
But no, they got a lot of cool ones. There's elephants and dogs and owls and ravens and each one of them is a little bit different, but they're all kind of in the same similar vein. They're going to be relatively helpful. And I like the idea of getting a bunch of these early, and each member of the party gets one.
Yeah.
And so that becomes their totem or their token or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I love that.
All right, Brad, what do you got?
I picked an artifact weapon because I absolutely love this thing. It's in the DMG. It's the Axe of the Dwarvish Lords. This thing is ridiculously powerful. If there's a power that it can have, it has it. So by default, it's a +3 battle axe.
I'm good with that.
But it also gives you the power of the Belt of Dwarven Kind, which lets you just spontaneously grow a beard overnight, or if you already have a beard, get it more bushy.
So Terry, you need this one back.
Yeah, that's right. Me too. This is. It also counts as the Dwarven Throwers, which is a thrown battle hammer.
Right.
So it has the same effect. You throw it, it hits your target, gets bonus damage, bonus attack, but it also returns at the end of your action. And it also counts as a Sword of Sharpness, which basically does a crap ton of extra damage on attack.
Love it.
On a crit. As well, you roll on the random magical table properties to get 2 minor and 1 major benefit and 2 minor detriments.
Right, okay.
So all of this is continuing going. If you are a dwarf, you get immunity to poison rather than just resistance, which you get as a dwarf by default. Your dark vision increases by 60 feet, so it's up to 90 feet now of dark vision. And you gain proficiency tools with an artisan tool, which if you're a dwarf, you probably have one, but you can get a second. You can also conjure an earth elemental with this thing.
Okay, well that's useful.
Yeah, very.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
You can use an action touch to access a fixed piece of stonework and cast teleport spell from it.
How far into the list are we?
We're like halfway through. It bears so if you're not a dwarf, there's a curse that comes with it.
I forget all of this.
Oh yeah, there's so much it's easy to forget.
This is the kind of thing that I would give in like a dwarven tomb of the gods or something.
Oh, absolutely.
And it can't leave the premises. But your dwarven character gets it for 3 or 4 sessions in this massive dungeon crawl that you're doing. And then at the end, he lays it to rest, and that opens the door.
Yeah, just an excuse to start using more epic level stuff as well, because, you've provided them with the item to try and handle that.
You can cast spells through it. Like, there's a bunch of stuff. And then the only thing that at the end is it can only be destroyed by putting it into the Earth Heart Forge, which is where it's created. And if you look this thing up in the DMG, the backstory on it is just wild.
I love
forged by the Dwarven gods. This thing's powerful as hell, and I love playing dwarves, so it's a perfect fit for me.
I love it. I should look out for more artifacts, actually, because those that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The artifacts, though, I mean, I feel like if you add 1 to the game, you have to add 1 per player to the game.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is how you get your level 18 party to feel like a level 23 party.
Yeah, because if you give that to, your dwarf cleric, then your human fighter's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where's
mine?
I do the hitting.
I'm going to go find my human gods.
Human gods, where are you?
Thank you for listening to an It's a Mimic production.
Okay, you're done. Get it.
I like chicken, I like this bird. Now mix, please deliver.
Please sponsor us.